As Lions fans, we've been through it all. As the 2022 NFL offseason approaches, we are quite hopeful for the 2022 season. Every year we go through ups and downs, peaks and valleys, highs and lows when it comes to our team. And I must admit, guys, the worst that I've been in a long time was not 0-16. That was over a decade ago. That would be the 2019 NFL season when we went 3-12-1 in Matt Patricia's second year. And I'll never forget, I was kind of like, for those of you who are local in Detroit, there's a radio host. His name is Mike Valenti. He works for 97.1 The Ticket. Now, this guy is kind of on the outs with the Lions. He's not a Lions fan. He's a Giants fan. And I had become the local kind of YouTube version of him. Very disheartened about this team. And I really didn't have anything nice to say about the organization. I think it was 2019, I'll never forget, when Sheila Ford Hamp took over, Martha stepped down. And at the end of the season, Sheila had an open letter to fans. Now, I openly mocked this thing because I thought I said, okay, I'm going to see if the Lions actually back this up. And the first order of business that they had to do was, if we weren't competitive, they had to fire Matt Patricia. So as a Lions fan, I'm sitting back and I'm wondering to myself, that's going to be her first test, because Sheila Ford Hamp was involved in not only firing Jim Caldwell, but hiring Matt Patricia. And now that responsibility fell upon her, whether she was going to live up to her word. And for me, kind of the breaking point came in the 2020 season when Matt Patricia, when they said that we had to be competitive, that was kind of like a mandate. Now, we've heard these things before. We're like, man, we don't believe it, right? The Fords have to back it up. Well, she backed it up with a mid-season firing of Matt Patricia. We all know what happened then. Hires Brad Holmes. He then hires Dan Campbell, and we get the infamous on the way up kneecap speech. I was looking and saw an article from SB Nation saying that the Detroit Lions ended the season week 18 with a 100% fan approval rating. Now, they don't say how many fans were polled, but as the weeks came and went, you could see this poll fluctuate. And it ended the season with 100%. Now, they could have interviewed one person. They could have interviewed 10 people. I mean, they could have interviewed 100 people, and they all said that, yes, the franchise was headed in the right direction. For us as Lions fans, that is a rarity of any number to say that the team is heading in the right direction, because we've heard this before, that this team next year is the year. We'll get them next year. We've heard all that stuff before. So I wanted to ask you guys, how do you feel about Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell moving forward? Now, we've talked about this before, about the stellar draft that they had, from undrafted free agents to like diamonds in the rough with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And we've got way more capital coming up this year than we've had in recent years. I mean, when I think about what Matt Patricia did to this team, I met Matt Patricia. You can check it out on my Gridiron Blitz channel. And I told him at the time that we wanted Everson Griffin. Now, mind you, it was still the offseason. So he said he wanted him too. But one thing that stuck out in my head was that he said he had his guys. But I remember a look in his eyes, knowing that this was it for him. He knew that this was it for him. So he traded for Everson Griffin, gave up a pick, and we wind up starting the 2021 NFL draft with 5 picks. And we wind up, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell wind up finagling and grabbing a couple more. But imagine the capital, with the capital they have now, what they're going to be able to do. Even though we went 3-13-1 and currently have the 2nd overall pick, things are looking up for the Detroit Lions. And 2 years ago, I was not here. I was so far away from feeling any positive about this franchise, to the point where I was ready to walk away from this franchise until they proved otherwise, that they knew my thing was, I didn't believe they actually cared about us, that they cared about money and things like that. But Sheila Hamp Ford has given me a little bit of faith that she is going to get out the way and let this team grow. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell got a lot of stuff that they can do. We have the 2nd overall pick. Here's something to think about, Lions fans, moving forward. With Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, what they have lined up, 2nd overall pick. You know what happened the last time we picked 2nd? We picked the force name Ndamukong Suh, who's still in the league over 10 years later, and still not the same player he was, of course. Who would be a decade later? But he's still causing havoc and got a championship. And who was before him? Hall of Famer, first ballot Calvin Johnson. So things are looking up for the Detroit Lions, and it will start. It's already started, but this year we have a potential to have that same game-changing number 2 overall pick. So leave it in the comments below. How do you feel? Do you agree with this poll from SB Nation that the Detroit Lions are headed in the right direction? You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Go Lions.